Thank you, Steve. I have to say it's an absolute thrill to be introduced by the guy that I watch in the morning news every day. Thank you, Anita, for inviting me to speak as well. I'm very honored to be a part of this. I've read through the bios of the women who were nominated, and you're all incredible. And it's a true honor to be involved in an event honoring you. It's no coincidence, I'm sure, that this is falling in the same time frame as International Women's Day, which is tomorrow. And that's been celebrated since the early 1900s. And as most of you probably know, the purpose of it is to celebrate and recognize women's achievements, both economic, political, and social. And that's really what this award does as well. So it's great timing for the award. The other day I was doing some reading and I came across a quote, and it's perfect, I think, for this event. So I would like to share it with you and then tell you a little story about me as well. But this quote is from Brian Dice. He was the CEO of Coca-Cola Canada, or not Canada, Coca-Cola, and it was given during a commencement speech that he gave. And what he said is, "Imagine life is a game in which you're juggling 5 balls in the air. You can name them work, family, health, friends, and spirit. And you're keeping all these in the air, and soon you'll understand that work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it will bounce back. But the other 4 balls, family, health, friends, and spirit, are made of glass. And if you drop any one of these, they're irrevocably scuffed, marked, nicked, damaged, and even shattered. They'll never be the same, and you must understand that and strive for the balance of your life." Now, he does go on and explain how you do that, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But first, I'm going to tell you a little story about my life and some of the lessons that I've learned. Now, one of the things that I've found is that no matter where you are in life, whether you're sitting at this table here in this room, or you're talking to your kids crossing guard at the school, or you're talking to your spouse, or you're talking to your colleagues, all of us have had different experiences in life, and all of us have had different wins, different challenges. And when you sit down and talk to someone about their life, usually you can get something from that, and you can say, hey, that might be the answer to something that's going on in my life. So I'm hoping by telling you, I'm not going to give you all the years, but by telling you a little bit about my life and some of the challenges that I've faced, maybe there's a couple little grains of things in there that might help you get to the next level or find that balance in life that we're all seeking. So I've been a lawyer for a long time now, but really it's not since 1993. I've been a lawyer since I was about 6, because I've always wanted to be a lawyer. That's all I've ever wanted to do, other than be an Olympic swimmer, and I didn't do that. And I don't know where it even came from, because my dad's a farmer, my mom's a teacher, didn't know any lawyers, had never been to a lawyer, but I just always wanted to do it. And through my life, I came to see being a lawyer as a certain ideal. I love it. I absolutely love it. And for me, it always was about helping people and being part of. Law is really the social fabric that holds our society together. You know, it defines the social mores, and it's kind of our agreed code of conduct, and it was just so exciting to me to be a part of that. So I always wanted to be a lawyer, and I went to university and I went to law school. And I went to law school in Saskatchewan, and when you go to law school in Saskatchewan in the late 80s, early 90s, what you do is you go to Calgary to the big firms and apply for articling positions. I did that. That's what I always thought you were supposed to do, and that was what you did. You go to Calgary and you go to the big law firms. I applied for jobs with them, and I sat in the boardrooms, and I was so disappointed, because this was not my ideal of what I wanted to do. Not that there was anything wrong with what was going on in those boardrooms, but it wasn't my dream, and I had a dream of what I wanted to do as a lawyer, and it wasn't happening in those boardrooms. And I really had a choice at that point, and I could either abandon that dream, because law can be a lot of things, and law can be what happens in those boardrooms, and it can be structured deals and doing all that kind of thing, or law can be what I dreamed it to be. And I decided to not give up on that dream And I did something that I'd never imagined I would do. I applied to a small firm. And that just wasn't what anyone did at that time. And I applied to a small firm in Kamloops. And I'd never been to Kamloops. I didn't know anyone in Kamloops. And I had never imagined living in Kamloops. But this firm, what they embodied really spoke to me. So I went to Kamloops and I articled, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. It was a great firm, great lawyers, and they embodied that spirit of what I was looking for. But I was 25 and I was single in Kamloops. So there weren't a lot of guys there, and I was looking for a guy too. So I had never been to Vancouver either at that point in my life, and we had to come down to Vancouver to do the bar course. So I came to Vancouver for 10 weeks, and I fell in love with the city. Like, what a great city, and there were guys. So I moved down to Vancouver, and I got a job with an even smaller firm. And this firm was fabulous. These were two great litigators, and it was a great opportunity. And they, the values that I had, they had, and it was fabulous. But then, like partnerships do, it imploded. And one partner quit practicing law, and one moved out of Vancouver. So my dream was up in smoke again, and I was 27 at this time. I could have gone and worked for a firm and given up that dream, that ideal of what law was to me and what it embodied to me. But I had my then boyfriend, now husband, who had a real entrepreneurial spirit despite working for a big company. And he said, go start up your own firm. And it sounded crazy. I practiced law for 2 years. I was 27 years old. But I thought, what the hell, what do I have to lose? I didn't really want to go and do the corporate thing anyway, so I started up my own firm. And if you would have told me in law school or when I was dreaming about what I was going to do, it was not starting up my own firm when I was 27 and being a sole practitioner. But that was the best choice I ever made. Not only did it allow me to create my reality of practice law the way I wanted to, have the values that I wanted to, and put those into play, but I also got to run a business. And lots of people in this room probably run a business, and it is a blast. It's really fun. And you get to create it in your own vision. So it was perfect. It was great. So my little brain from that little segment of my life is you can't fear the unknown, and you can't be too rigid in your dreams. Like, hold on to the dream, but not the path of getting there. There's all sorts of doors closed, doors open, opportunities come when one goes, and you always have to be open to them and just hang on to your dream. So I don't just work, I also have a family. And the next sort of little brain that I want to give you has to do with that part of my life. In 2003, I was blessed with twin daughters, and I stressed about how I was going to work and raise kids and have a life and do all these things, and I bet you every other woman in this room can relate to this. You had to do it all, you had to do it perfect, you had to do the laundry, you wanted to cook for everyone, you wanted to care for everyone, and everything had to be perfect. And you wanted to be involved in your profession and everything else. Well, not surprisingly, something happened. I had a little bit of a health scare because you just can't do all those things. And that gave me a real epiphany. And probably everyone had figured this out long before I did, but you cannot take care of anyone else unless you're taking care of yourself. You have to, as a woman, as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, as a professional, you have to take care of yourself, or you are not going to be able to be the best that you can be at everything you do. So that's my second little brain. It's not selfish to go get a manicure. It's not selfish to go to the gym and spend time away from your family that way. It's selfless because it enables you to take care of everyone around you. So the third little thing that I'd like to kind of pass on to you came from my community involvement. And one of the things that I've been most involved with over the years is something called the Trial Lawyers Association of British Columbia. And TLABC is a phenomenal association, and if you're not a lawyer, you wouldn't know anything about it probably. But Trial Lawyers Association does three really important things. The first thing that it does is it makes sure that the rights of the individual are protected. So it's kind of like a watchdog, and if anyone's trying to decrease your rights to certain things, trial lawyers gets involved and they advocate on your behalf. The second thing it does is it educates lawyers, and its goal is excellence in education, and a real focus is on education. And that's something that I hold really dear to me. And the third thing it does is something very similar to what the Board of Trade does. It provides a venue for exchange of ideas and for lawyers interacting with each other. So that association fit completely with my values and what I wanted to be doing. And I became very involved in it, and ultimately I became the president of that association for a year. That's where things got a little bit funny. Trial lawyers are predominantly male, and I knew that, and I knew from going to education courses, and I'd been a lawyer quite a while at that time, I knew that as a lawyer, to be a good advocate, I couldn't just pick my favorite lawyer, F. Lee Bailey, and mimic him when I was in trial. It wouldn't do any good. I don't look like F. Lee Bailey. It would sound like him. I would not come off right. So I knew that in my trial practice, I had to be authentic, and I had to be real, and I had to be me. And that was the only way I would be effective in representing clients. But somehow I forgot that when I was in the leadership of the Trial Lawyers Association. And we had a board of 60 lawyers, 60 trial lawyers is our board. It's a huge board. And I think the year I was president, there was 3 women, including me. We had had so many phenomenal presidents, and presidents that I really, really admired and looked up to. So what did I do when I took over the leadership? I mimicked the ones that I thought were really good. Okay, well that didn't work. I'm not a guy, and it didn't work. And it took me a couple of months to realize I can't do that. I just have to be me. And when I'm me, I can be an effective leader. And that's kind of the third little nugget I'd want to give you. It's our default position can often be to look to others, and I think we can learn tons from others. I'm not saying that, but when it comes to your presentation, your meetings with clients, your interactions with friends, family, leadership roles that you're in, you have got to bring yourself to the table, and you've got to be your authentic self. And for women in particular, women have certain strengths that men don't. Men have certain strengths that women don't. When we're in a leadership position, we're in there because of we're a woman. Like maybe at that particular time, that association needs a woman leader. So bring that womanness to it. You don't have to hide it under the table. It's got really good qualities as well. So that would be my third little thing. Be your authentic self in everything you do. Bring your real self to the table. Now, I'll give you the actually really good stuff though. Sorry. Which comes from Brian Dice, where he tells the how, and his is much more eloquent and probably a lot better than my little anecdotal story there, but here it is. So what he said to this class was, don't undermine your worth by comparing yourself to others. It is because we are different that each of us is special. Don't set your goals by what others deem important. Only you know what is best for you. Don't take for granted the things that are closest to your heart. Cling to them as you would your life, for without them, life is meaningless. Don't let your life slip through your fingers by living in the past or in the future. By living your life one day at a time, you live all the days of your life. Don't give up when you still have something to give. Nothing is really over until the minute you stop trying. Don't be afraid to admit you're less than perfect. It is this fragile thread that binds us to each other. Don't be afraid to encounter risk. It is by taking chances that we learn to be brave. Don't shut love out of your life by saying it's impossible to find. The quickest way to receive love is to give. The fastest way to lose love is to hold too tightly, and the best way to keep love is to give it wings. Don't run through life so fast that you forget not only where you've been, but also where you're going. Don't forget that a person's greatest emotional need is to feel appreciated. Don't forget to learn. Knowledge is weightless, a treasure you can carry easily. Don't use time or words carelessly, neither can be returned. Life is not a race, but a journey to be savored each step of the way. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. Thank you.